Hi, I'm Selena Woodward, and I'm an English and drama teacher, university lecturer, and with edufolios.org, a big-time reflective practitioner. So how can reflective practice help you grow your teaching skills, fall in love with your profession all over again, and help you nail accreditation and teacher registration with less stress and less work? Well, this is the Reflective Teacher Podcast. Welcome back to the Reflective Teacher Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Selena Woodward, and I am very excited today to be joined by Jaeden Schafer, who is from SelfPause.com. Now, Jaeden and I were tweeting back and forth about his amazing new app. Because what he's created is an amazing tool that will help you to access thousands of affirmations to help you overcome any stresses or any anxieties. And as educators right now, we don't have any of that in our world, do we? Not at all. COVID's not here. And on an average day, we never have any stresses in our life. But I thought maybe you guys might want to check it out. And the more I spoke to Jaeden about why he'd created this and what it's being used for, the more I just knew we had to have a chat on the podcast. Now, in the evidence engine, we have an affirmation that we use right from the beginning all the way through to the end. So my evidence engine peeps, you know exactly what the power of those affirmations are. There are times when I make them write it down before we start our coaching call, just to get it right in their head first. It's all about, I am here to grow. Mistakes are how I grow. You know, there's no such thing as perfection. Yeah, my evidence engine people are probably repeating it back right now as they listen to this podcast. But for those who don't really know much about the difference between an affirmation and a meditation, because most of us know a bit about meditations, Jaeden, would you like to start by maybe telling us what the heck is an affirmation? How is it different to meditation? And why should we be paying attention to them?
Totally. Yeah. First off, super happy to be on the show today. So I guess one of the main differences you'll see with affirmations meditation, and specifically kind of what we do, which is merging the two and doing affirmation meditation. Mm-hmm. Typically when you're listening to affirmation, there's a lot of different apps or studios, but you could use an app like Calm or Headspace. You're looking to alleviate anxiety or stress in your life, find peace, calm, right, through meditation. It's kind of like taking a moment to have a pause, a mindful moment, and just kind of relax. That's a lot of that's a lot of what goes into meditation. So with affirmations and affirmation meditation, the difference is an affirmation is a positive statement that you're saying about yourself. It kind of all roots back to Self-Affirmation Theory, which, back in the 80s started being researched in psychology. But it's affirming what your most important values are, what you find your most important values for yourself are personally, and typically what that looks like is a positive statement, usually written or spoken in the present tense. So something like, I am a person that tries my hardest at whatever I do. That could be a personal affirmation for yourself. It's something that's one of your personal core beliefs about yourself. And what's really powerful with affirmations and affirmation meditation that we do is, instead of just simply looking at, trying to, if you're really stressed or anxious about something, just do meditation to calm down. Affirmation meditation, you can kind of look at what are the areas in my life or your students' lives that give them anxiety, that give them stress, right? If that's finances, if that's academics, if that's relationships, their home life, whatever it may be, what are causing those things? And then you can focus on affirmations to kind of address the root problem, or the root, cause of that stress or anxiety. So it goes a little bit deeper than typical meditation, and it can also really help develop a growth mindset. So as far as, it's kind of linked to psychology, self-affirmation theory has been studied since the 1980s. And it really looks at how affirmations, how self-affirmation theory directly can impact our behavior and therefore the outcome that we produce in life. So that's kind of where that all ties together in the research, and more than just saying some sort of positive statement, how that directly can change your behavior and change your outcomes in life.
Yeah, I mean, for me, when I use affirmations, they're kind of reminders, and I try to do it first thing in the morning. Mostly, they are I am statements for me. I
Yeah,
am this, I am that, and they are reminders to myself of who I am, so that if it's I'm a child of the 80s, so there was a cartoon character called Batfink. I don't know if anyone else listening to this knows who the heck Batfink is. You need to Google him if not. He used to have wings of steel. He used to wrap himself in wings of steel, and then the bullets would just ricochet off him. So my affirmations are my wings of steel. So I wear my affirmations to remind me who I really am. So when my brain is switching into fight, flight, survival mode, I can use those affirmations to really pause and go, no, 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 we're good. I am whatever it is that I need to. I've said them in the
100%.
morning. They're part of me, a reminder to myself. And it's a way of bringing myself back to who I am, even if the world around me is going crazy with COVID and everything else. Is that kind of,
100%.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. And I love what you said because you're spot on with that, right? Like some people think like, oh, affirmations, they're kind of like this woo-woo thing where you say like you're, like these
I am
crazy
light.
statements.
I am God. No, no, I am God. Calm down, Selena.
Just like you were saying, these are statements that are your core beliefs about yourself, and you say them when you're in a really, you focus on them, you work on these things when you're in, like, in the morning, the evening, when you're in a really good headspace, so that when you do have difficulties, and maybe you have some sort of mental block or some sort of obstacle to overcome, you can stick with like the statements you've already thought of. You can think of the positive things you already know about yourself and say, wait a second, right? Like I have this difficulty, but maybe your affirmation is, I am someone that always overcomes my difficulties. I am someone that does not give up. I am someone that doesn't quit, right? And so then when those difficulties, those obstacles come, your brain can remember who you are as a person, and then it can help you act on that, and perform better and behave how you truly are, your true authentic self, right? It's not like, I guess something I've heard people say is like, affirmations aren't, you're not striving to become this perfect, incredible thing. It's like you already are that incredible person within you. That's your true authentic self. And so affirmations are just kind of helping you unlock that and become the amazing person you are and achieve the amazing things that you're totally capable of achieving.
And I want to touch on that because for me personally, and I don't know if you found this with your app and your users, some of my affirmations I don't 100% believe sometimes. Like some of my affirmations are slightly aspirational so that I can retrain myself to remember that all of those things are possible for me, and it
Mm-hmm.
comes almost into that sense of manifestation a little bit after a while. You're like, no, I actually want to be this person. I want to be calm. I want to be kind, whatever, and even when I'm not feeling particularly calm, I might not believe that I am calm right now. I might want to kill someone. I I can use the affirmations as an aspirational thing too, to help me get there. And one day I
Exactly.
might wake up calm. I haven't tried that yet. I haven't managed to be calm all day, every day for a long period of time. It's my goal. But, like, yeah, I am calm. I am confident. I am at ease. Those are three things that go around I'm calm. I'm confident. I'm at ease. It's all good. Like
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
little phrases that you could just say to yourself. They're really, really powerful. So I noticed
Absolutely.
that on selfpause.com, we've got loads and loads of categories of loads and loads, thousands of different affirmations under different categories. And when we had a chat, you were talking about how you've been working with young people um, to help kids with this kind of thing. And in
Mm-hmm.
the teaching standards we have here in Australia, we have one that talks about student developmental milestones. And that really talks about obviously all of the teachy stuff like fine motor skills, gross motor skills, but it also talks about social and emotional elements as well, the social emotional learning aspects or their characteristics, like how are they in relationships with others. In high school, that could be we're going through puberty. There's a whole heap of neuro pathways disconnecting and
Mm-hmm.
reconnecting. We've got our forming of our identity going on. There's an awful lot happening. All of that is kind of covered a little bit in 1.1. How are you finding people are using affirmations with self-pause with kids? Have you got teachers using it in classrooms, and how is that helping them?
Yeah, so what we've actually done on our app, we have a whole section of affirmations. We have academic affirmations, and a lot of those are, I would probably say, are more targeted towards high school, university,
Yeah.
can be used for younger kids. But we do have a whole section, like you're mentioning, of affirmations specifically for kids. And that whole section is free. It's free forever. So if teachers download that, or they have students download that to listen to, yeah, kids affirmations are completely free. As far as like you were saying, talking about the development of kids in particular and how affirmations can specifically benefit them. Yeah, a lot of teachers. It's a very popular trend right here in America. I see it a lot in the news, and so I guess I should look at Australia more too, in other countries as well. But a lot of teachers do are using affirmations, becoming a very popular thing in younger and younger age kids in school. I've seen a bunch of stories of teachers having their kids, as they come into the classroom every morning. They have a big mirror there, and they have their students say affirmations to themselves in the mirror as they start their day. And so I think something that's really important too, as we're talking about development with kids. So I guess something important to note: affirmations for children shouldn't necessarily be, oftentimes people mistake them for like self flattery or like empty praise. And I think what's really important to kind of focus on is, it's not just you telling your kids, like, or your students or whatnot, that they're smart or they're wonderful, but instead it's kind of molding the situation in a way that the kids can exemplify who they are and feel value. So it's telling them that it's praising them for just showing up, for just trying, for telling them they work hard, and really helping them shift their mindset. So something with affirmations as adults, we've noticed is, and when you research the neuroscience of it, right? A lot of time we have these mental blocks that, they're given to us from teachers, from mentors, from parents, oftentimes family members, people that are the closest to us, right? That love us, but maybe, don't know. But they say, like, oh, you can't achieve this, or you can't be that, or no one in your family's ever done that. Why do you think you can do that, right? So we have some of these self-limiting beliefs, right? And a lot of students, even in elementary school, are starting to hear these from people and to believe them. And so what's so powerful with affirmations is it's an opportunity to start rewiring the neural pathways in your brain, to start putting positive thoughts in there. Like you were saying at the beginning of the day, now subconsciously you have these positive statements about yourself. And so as you focus on, for children, not just flattery, not just saying you're wonderful, right? Like perhaps what they might think of as an empty statement, but saying you're incredible because you always try hard. You always work on doing your best, and you always you work on overcoming obstacles, and having them turn those into personal I am affirmations as well. But really kind of making that shift for them. So they're not just having this empty, but they're being praised for their hard work. They're being praised, or they're affirming that they have hard work. They're affirming that them trying is value that they have, right? So I think that's a
Yeah.
really important aspect that is working really well for students today.
I think what I love as well about affirmations, when you create your 10 I am statements, which is always really hard. I challenge everybody here today to write 10 I am statements about yourself. See how hard it gets after about 4 or 5. Like, oh, I don't know. That's what I mean. Like, you don't quite believe them. But what I love about that is, in terms of self-worth and self-love, a lot of kids that I've taught will look externally to find their worth in school, like they're looking for results in their grades, or they're looking for the affirmations from their mates that they are cool, and if we can teach them to understand their values to start with, what is important to them, that's an incredible life skill, like being able to say to another friend, actually, that's not something I am okay with. That's hard when you're a teenager. It's hard when you're going up a primary even. But then to teach them to say it to themselves and to start to believe it means that we're giving them those skills to develop their own levels of self-esteem and their own belief in themselves. I know my son's 9, and I was doing some work with him. And one of the things we've been trying to do is say, I love me. Look in the mirror and say, I love me. And he finds that so hard. And I'm like, I love me. I love me. I'm great. I'm a good person. I love me. And like so many people, even I would have found that hard at one point, to truly
100%.
believe that, and so this is what affirmation work for me and for my son at least does. It kind of helps you to practice affirming, right? Affirming who you are or who you want to be. Absolutely. So I can totally understand. I love the idea of the mirror in the classroom, and making space for the kids to devise their own little list of affirmations to guide them through that process, and give them that mirror to look at themselves. So they see themselves and they're talking to themselves. I think that's fantastic. I think that's brilliant. And so how does this work for grown-ups then? You've got a large section for professionals. Teachers are professionals. We deal with a hell of a lot of stress right now, always anyway, but with COVID on top, our workload is ridiculous, and we're being asked here in Australia, a lot is being asked of us, excuse me, a lot is being asked of us in terms of extra planning, our own safety and our own health, with COVID. It's very scary at times for some of us. So how could using an affirmation app help reduce stress and anxiety for us as educators too?
Yeah, there's been a ton of research on it, with stress and anxiety, the benefits of, meditation. And I love what you said about how you start every day with your affirmations. That's something that we really encourage people to do just based off a lot of the research that has come through. But we recommend that people, even if it's just taking 5 minutes every morning, 5 minutes every evening, right after you wake up, right before you go to bed, I find that is the most, the best time. But to really take a moment to do an affirmation meditation. So on our app, we have tons of different categories like you're mentioning, but taking a time to focus on one area. I find if you're trying to alleviate stress and anxiety, like I said earlier, look at maybe an area that is causing you stress, whether that's finances, relationship, stress in general, and listen to an affirmation session on that for 5 minutes. So there's gonna be meditation music in the background. And what I recommend doing is, as you listen to these affirmations, these positive statements about yourself, to what's really powerful beyond just listening to the words is to visualize, what does this look like for me in my life, right? So if you're listening to like relationship affirmations that are saying like, I am a good partner that makes time to understand my significant other, right? Like that's the affirmation. We have lots of affirmations similar to that in the relationship. Really visualize and really think about, what does that mean for me to be a good partner? What does that look like with my current partner? How should I treat them? How do I treat them? Or, if that's finances and it's, your affirmation is, I am abundant. I always have the resources I need around you. Think about, what does abundance look like for you? What are the things you need to do to have that abundance? And I think the power of affirmations, as far as like achievement and seeing results in your life, seeing behavioral change, is really to visualize what those look like in application, in your own life. And I think that's where you'll really feel like you're making progress. And so if those things are causing you stress, you'll really feel that stress start to be alleviated, because you'll recognize things you can do to improve your situation, and you'll recognize, the things that are great about your current situation.
Yeah, and I guess that's partly the meditation side of it, because when you mentioned abundance and money, right, that's something where you're like, well, it's great, I've got no money in my bank account and I got to sit here and think, I've got lots of money comes to me easy. And you're like, I'm having to work all these hours, I'm tired and I'm grumpy. And when you're feeling that, that's a resistance to this idea. And the resistance is there because you're not enjoying what you're doing right now. So the idea that you take a moment to reframe that's what we're doing. We're reframing it and going, okay, well, let's not think about all this stress that I'm experiencing, because that's what that is. That stress is a mini fight or flight response. It's like, no, it's terrible, we must run away, right? So no, okay, let's think about, what does it look like as I'm listening to, money comes to me easily, money flows, money is energy is another one of mine. Like money is energy, it comes, it flows. What does that look like? And I think that's really interesting when it comes to teachers with the accreditation process, because there's a lot of overwhelm and stress. mostly based on the too much information that doesn't really help them around the accreditation process. It's a huge piece of paperwork. And instead of focusing on their values, their core values of, I have a powerful impact on my students. I rock up every day to make a real difference. I have great connection with my students. I understand when what I'm doing is working. I understand it is okay to make mistakes so that I can do better for my kids. Making mistakes is important. You know, all of these things that we actually need to know, because we wouldn't expect our students to be perfect in their learning. And as a teacher, we shouldn't be perfect either. But we get stuck in this bit where we're really hard on ourselves. We're really overwhelmed. And instead of going, I am worthy of HA, I help other teachers to be the best they can be. I am capable of designing policy for my site and making a wider difference. I have helped kids to achieve their dreams, you know, which is what we are here for in our profession. We start to focus on the, oh, it's too much paperwork. I haven't got any artifacts. I don't really understand the standards. And our brain goes down there. And I hope those who are listening can understand the difference between focusing on accreditation is hard, it's overwhelming, and focusing on, I have a good impact. I can talk about my impact now. I understand how it works. Which is kind of what we do in the evidence engine. We try and reframe that thinking. So I love what you said there about, whilst you're listening to the affirmation, actually visualizing what that looks like, even if there's a huge amount of resistance in your body at the time, because your brain doesn't actually know the difference between what you're imagining and what's real, does it? So if you can imagine it, you're kind of doing it. I think that's great. And I also love that in your app, you can create your own affirmations too. So whatever stage of life you're in, you're like, everything I just said, someone could grab self-pause right now, just press play on this podcast, just play on the podcast and record those into an affirmation. And I think that's what you were saying at the beginning. Think about what's stressing you out about this process. Think about why you're actually here. What's the actual reason? And affirm yourself with those reasons and keep yourself focused on your values, the reasons that you are here doing that.
I think that's so important. I think you said that beautifully. And I guess what's really, really important is, like with affirmations and having them be effective, you know, like with teachers that are working on accreditation and other things academic wise, is to truly believe them, accept those affirmations, accept those statements, and trust the process. And I think it's easy to do now because, you know, perhaps back in the 80s when this was all being discovered, it was, you know, they're finding things out, so people didn't know as much. But now we have so much research to back up how much this is, how beneficial this is. I mean, I can think of some really cool studies done by Jeffrey Cohen. He's from Stanford University in the Graduate School of Education in California. And they've done many studies where they found, you know, that when they had students who participated in these value affirmation exercises, like writing and reflecting on, you know, their personal values and their affirmations, they literally had higher grades than people than the students in the control group that didn't do them. And I think when you're looking at like teachers working on accreditation, these affirmations are so powerful for helping them to, as they're taking tests and they're working on these big or these stressful things, these affirmations are so helpful. And there's so many amazing studies that can show that they literally can help them help them become accredited, help them with their tests, help them with, and, you know, teachers, that's an amazing aspect. And then beyond that, students as well. So the kids they're teaching. But yeah, I think it's just so important to know there's so much amazing research being done right in this area, and to really trust the process and believe that this works, so that you can give it your full effort when you're practicing affirmations.
Yeah, and even if it takes you a bit of time, because it will feel really weird, it's a practice, right? So a bit like reflective practice, you know, it can be part of your reflective practice even, you know, you can use the affirmations, and as you're visualizing what that looks like, that's you reflecting on your practice at the same time. You know, and it will bring things up for you. It will give your brain the space to show you stuff and to connect with things that you might not have connected before, which I think is awesome. And I'm glad that you mentioned that research there. That's really exciting. And I think I know in my own practice, I've had worked in some schools where kids have decided they're crap at English and then there's no point, and if you teach in a school where kids are not really engaged in learning and you're trying to teach them Romeo and Juliet and it's by this old guy who died hundreds of years ago and there's this weird 14-year-old girl marrying a what's that about? Like you
Right.
you have to do a lot of work around, I'm crap at this. And there's all these barriers from our kids. I'm crap at this. Why would I bother trying? Because if I try, I'm going to fail anyway. And that doesn't feel good, but we can look at it and go, well, you might not be crap at everything in English. Like maybe you're really good at this one piece and you're going to work on this one piece, and teaching yourself and your kids how to use mindset and how to use language and how to pause and tune into yourself and recognize what's helpful, what's serving you, what's helpful, and what's not is a vital skill. So I really love the idea of bringing that in as early as you can with your kids, definitely. Do you have any stories of teachers using the SelfPause app at all that you could share with us?
Yeah, so like I was mentioning earlier, there's actually a lot of news stories I've been reading recently of teachers using it specifically. I know some teachers that I've talked to that use it with their students. And like you were saying, the biggest benefit they see is a mindset shift in their students. And they love them because it really helps them to switch their mindset from, I suck, or I'm terrible at like this particular thing, or I've never been good at this, or people tell me I've never been good at this, right? Really switching that mindset to focus more on things like, I work hard on this. I give my best effort, because like you're saying, the problem is if people think I'm no good at something, then it kind of like, it makes them remove the effort of it ever trying, because they believe that their personal belief is that they are not good at that, and no matter what they do, they won't be good at that, which as we know, as teachers and research shows, is being good at something is typically just how hard and how many times and how many hours you put into learning that thing or trying. So
Practice.
No one's going to be good right at the beginning. And I think that what a lot of them have expressed to me is that as students try, right, eventually they become better at something and they like the subjects more that they're good at. And so affirmations are a good way for them to help switch the mindset, help their students try harder, believe in themselves more. And then as a result, they're much more likely to actually enjoy the subject, and then they'll do better in the future because now, they say, I'm good at this and I enjoy it.
Yeah. And I think if you as an educator are practicing this for yourself, when you take that into your classroom, not only are you going to be more confident with it, but you're probably going to be modeling it to them too. There's an opportunity for you to model it too, which makes all that even more, I don't know, awesome. I don't know if that's the right word, but yeah, bigger than awesome, fabulous. It's modeling. It's demonstrating that you're not just doing it because it's a cool thing to take up 10 minutes. Absolutely. So if you were trying to work towards a goal, let's say teacher accreditation, let's say SACE as it is here in South Australia, or NAPLAN, which are all our exams over here. Or maybe right now, a lot of us are experiencing our school term starts in January. That's the beginning of our school year here. So lots of us are walking into a new classroom with new kids, a new site, maybe even a new career. It could be the first year of teaching. COVID, there's plenty of things that could be overwhelming with us. So we can hear here that affirmations can help us to reframe that stress and then maybe remove some of those barriers that might be standing in our way, because we're kind of allowing ourselves to lean into that fear rather than leaning into our values. And when it comes to affirmation, I guess, do you have specific ones on your app about perfection and growth mindset? You mentioned that earlier, because most of the teachers I work with, their biggest barrier is perfectionism. I think most teachers are perfectionists. Do you have anything in your app that would help us with that?
Yeah, so we have a whole section on personal growth that I definitely recommend, and I think it really covers this topic a lot. And I think all of us at whatever phase of life and whatever stage we're at can benefit so much from really focusing on that growth mindset, right? Like no one is perfect. And when we are, do make a mistake or something, that's completely fine. That's an opportunity to grow. And so I think focusing on those that's a really good area. I loved what you said about goals and how affirmations are, and asking about ways affirmations can help with goals. I know a lot of people are working on accreditation and a lot of different things. I wanted to share one technique that I think is absolutely amazing, that can pair goal setting that we're currently doing on our app. I will have to preface, like, so it's called the 369 method. I will have to preface, if you look it up online, there's a lot of people that say it was invented by Nikola Tesla. That's like this really popular thing. I've done a lot of research into it. I can't verify that. But regardless, the technique is really cool, and I personally use it. It works really great. And that is, you pick a goal, and you write down 3 affirmations surrounding that goal. So if it's accreditation, right? Like I am a teacher that has like achieved this certificate, or I have finished this accreditation, right? That can be your like goal.
Yeah, where are you going to be? Yeah, I get that.
What you do, it might sound crazy, and I would typically recommend this for something that is in the horizon of a couple weeks versus like months and months, because it might get annoying. But you set a notification on your phone. So you write 3 affirmations. You have them set on your phone to pop up 6 times a day. And every time that those affirmations pop up, you sit there and you think about them for 9 seconds. You think about them, you visualize them, and you visualize what you would need to do to accomplish them. And so I'll tell you what's so powerful about this. I mean, you know, if you have classes and class schedule, look at when those pop up, maybe like between.
Do it with the kids though. Let's do it with the kids. Like they could all have this, and everyone's like, right, our alarm's gonna go off in, you know, maybe not every
So on our app, we have a notification section where you can go and put your affirmations in and select what time they pop up. I recently did this last summer. I had the opportunity to go to Hawaii. So I live in Arizona. It's very hot here in the summer, you know, over 100 degrees. It's just terrible outside.
Yeah, we're here. We're living that right now, just here. It's all right.
Yeah, exactly, right? Stay inside. I'm air conditioning, because otherwise you melt. But I had the opportunity to go to Hawaii. Someone I knew had a very small suite house that they were renting for very, very cheap. But in order to do that whole thing, a lot of work that had to happen. It was in a couple weeks. There was flights. I had to, rent my house out Airbnb. I had to figure out doing my job remote. There's a lot of different things that were going into this goal. So a lot of work had to be put on there. But affirmations around that will pop up 6 times a day for me. And some of my affirmations were, one I think was, I was putting affirmations that were kind of visualizing what it will look like when I've achieved this goal. So I think I was saying like, I am happy on the beach in Hawaii with my family is happy, right? Like that's one of the things. But, and cause it was kind of a thing, whatever. So every 6 days, these affirmations would pop up, look at them, focus on them for 9 seconds. I would ask, what will this look like when I've achieved this goal? And like, what are some things I need to do in order to achieve this goal? And typically, every time that this would happen, every time these notifications would pop up, these affirmations, and I would look at them, I would think to myself like, okay, well, right now I'm in the middle of doing like, maybe not something super important. What is something I can do right now to further those goals? And I'd be like, okay, well, I can go and fill out this paperwork for this rental thing, or I can go and work on this specific project to get it ready for working remote, right? So I would think of the things that I needed to do. And honestly, doing that where I had my goals coming up 6 times a day, these affirmations 6 times a day, and I would focus on them, I was able to accomplish that goal. And it was almost surreal because I hadn't turned the notifications off. The day after we got in at night in Hawaii, and the next morning when I woke up and I had this notification pop up that said, I am happy in Hawaii with my family. And I was looking around and like, there I was. That exact goal. So yeah, I think affirmations can be incredibly powerful for achieving your goals. And so that's one tool we have on our app that we're super excited about, that people can use to have those affirmations come to them daily and it can help them focus on achieving goals.
Well, I love that. I think I absolutely love that. And I would add to that, one thing that I do is I put a date on it too. So I do that too with my projects. I'll say it is March the 12th and I am whatever it is I want to be at that point. And yeah, absolutely. Some people don't like the date because that's proper accountability. But if you can do that, then that also helps give it like a finite. You say, oh, it gets a bit annoying after a while. That gives it a finite time. Absolutely, I love that. So I think I'm going to encourage everybody who is starting. Well, everybody listening to this podcast to think. So we've got to think of 3 affirmations that are goals, things that we want to be at a point in the future. And I think you could do longer term ones. I mean, some of these things are going to take time, and it wouldn't hurt to have these things pop up 6 times, because we do get very distracted. That's actually the wrong word. We're not distracted. I think we're just overwhelmed because we have so much to do. And so if we're afraid of teacher accreditation, our brain is going to just put that down as a very low priority. So if we don't have these reminders of the thing we love and the thing we want to do, then yeah, it's going to drop out of our to-do list quite quickly as an educator. The old, I don't have time for that will come out. When you do have time for that, you just have to choose to say no to something else. Because every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. So I love the fact that that's popping up on your phone and reminding you. And you know what? If you're a teacher and your phone is buzzing going, I am a highly accomplished teacher, I've picked up my certificate, I have a photograph on my wall of me holding my certificate, and that pops up in the middle of a lesson, it's going to make you go, right, where is the evidence in this room right now?
Yeah,
that's going to really help you. Or maybe you can do it with the kids as well. If you're in a primary school classroom and you're all working on a class goal, that could be a social emotional goal, about relationships. It could be about kindness, whatever the theme is at the school at that point, or in your class could decide. You could all do it together and have an experiment, do it as a little research project together and see. And I love the idea of it popping up 6 times and then 9 seconds, everything stops, just 9 seconds, which seems a ridiculously short amount of time. I mean, 9 seconds. But
it does, but you'll find after like a week, you'll catch yourself when it pops up, like your instinct is like, oh, I've already seen this. I've already thought of this, like just wanting to swipe away, but focus on continuing to think about it, because sometimes it's uncomfortable. You're like, oof, like didn't actually make any progress on this last time, so I just want to swipe it away so I don't have to, but there's holding you accountable and helping you to really remember that to constantly work towards those goals.
Oh, totally. And everybody I work with wants an accountability partner. So this app will go, hello, remember this thing that was important to you last week? It's still important to you now. I think that's fantastic. So how can listeners go and play with this, and how can they have fun with this? This sounds awesome. Where do they need to go to get the app? What can they download it on? Tell us about how we can get access to it.
Yeah, if you go to selfpause.com, there's links to download the app, or you can just go onto iOS or Android, the App Store, and just search for the word SelfPause and download the app. And so the app is completely free for everyone to download. We have a premium version where you get access to the full library of meditations, but the notification feature to do those daily notifications, that's completely free. All of the children's affirmations are completely free. Any affirmations around kind of like more like mental health and stuff are free. And then every category has free affirmation sessions that you can test out. If you want access to the whole thing, there's a premium version as well. But yeah, you can just find that on the App Store, download it, create an account, and I highly encourage you, start playing around with it. And we'll also, by default, you can turn it off, but also by default, we'll send you, when you get the app, a daily affirmation from us to kind of help you stay in that mindset and help you to keep a positive mindset throughout the day as well.
That's fantastic. And I'm sure you'd be keen to hear of any stories that come out as people experiment with this, right? So I'm going to suggest that if you play this game with Jaeden and I'm going to play this game. If you're going to play this game with Jaeden and I using the selfpause.com app, then I would like to see if you can reflect on that in your edufolio. And then Jaeden wants these stories. I want these stories. I want to see how this works, because I think it will be amazing. I think I'm going to definitely talk about this in the evidence engine. We're going to have to chat, Jaeden, about some collabs there, I think, because I think this could be incredibly powerful for helping everybody overcome any of these barriers that we've put in ourselves, really. All right. So let's experiment. Let's play a game with this. Let's see if this can help us move forward. Let's reflect on it in our edufolio. Let's send them to Jaeden on his socials as well. How can we find you on socials, Jaeden? What would we look for? Just SelfPause on Facebook and Twitter, Instagram?
Yep,
Where do we find
at
you?
SelfPause, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You can send us a message. We check our DMs on Instagram. If you have incredible stories or anything about you using the SelfPause app, we love to share those too. So we may ask you, to share those to our story. And we'd love to hear the stories of ways that this has helped you and helped your students as well.
Let's play this game, everybody. Let's head to selfpause.com or go to the Android or Apple store, grab SelfPause, and maybe DM me or tweet me or Facebook me at edufolios, and even share what your 3 affirmations are if you're feeling brave. Don't forget to reflect on it, because I reckon you will find a whole chunk of evidence, even in how you've chosen those affirmations and why. Believe it or not, there will be focus areas that will attach to that. Sad, isn't it? The teaching standards come across to affirmation land. Let's see how that works. I think that could be really, really fun. Thank you so much, Jaeden, for creating the SelfPause app and for sharing it with us today. I love what you were saying about, it being a tool to help us pause. I love the name of it. It is about pausing, checking in with yourself and reminding yourself why you are here. What is your purpose? And in terms of us as educators, when year 9 have just done our head in, it's a full moon, there's a high wind, kids are just nightmares in those situations, and maybe pop band's broken up or something terrible has happened. You do sometimes question why you're bothering. So maybe maybe this is a way to help you stick with why you are bothering and really bring into focus the idea that you are here to make a real impact, that accreditation is about you documenting and celebrating that impact. And let's see if that helps everybody to move a little bit faster.
So something I would love to do for you and all your listeners is I will give you a code. I think it's going to be the letters FEM. And you can put in your show notes a link to a website that anyone listening today can go to this website after you create an account on the app, type in this code, and it will automatically upgrade your account for free for 2 months, no credit card required, no auto bill or anything like that. I would love for everyone to get access to the full library, get the premium account, and all the features of unlimited recording lengths and whatnot for their own personal affirmations. So 2 months for free on the SelfPause app. And I think that would be super, super awesome. So yeah, I'll make sure to give you a link. You can put it in the show notes. And then if they use that code FEM, they'll be able to upgrade their account.
That's fantastic. Then we can play this game in total style. Thank you so much, Jaeden. That's super generous.
Well, it's been amazing to be here. You have such an amazing audience and you're doing so many awesome things. So it's super, super cool to be able to talk with you about this today. And I'm so excited to hear the amazing results, the amazing things that people see and use these affirmations in their life.
Yeah, let's play this game, everybody. SelfPause. Let's do this. Thanks, Jaeden.